This is a review of the June 1962 Marvel Omnibus. Now, I've got the August 1961 here. It may look like it was really heavy. It's not actually very heavy. This is the one thing with the Omnibus. They are sort of getting smaller and smaller, even though there's quite a lot of pages. It's 520 odd pages. I mean, it's quite thin. It's not a... When I got it, I thought, is that the Omnibus edition? And I opened it up. Yes, it was the Omnibus edition. And it's... so you've got all the covers there. I love that one in the August 1961. And exactly the same here. However, you've got 2 issues less for some weird reason in June 1962. Same page count. And the reason I think there's a lot more bonus material in this one than in the earlier one, which I suppose is natural. Obviously, they'd saved up some of it. And you've got all the titles there. You can see there. It's about 520 odd pages. And you can see a range of different titles. Now, you can see from the dates, if you look at it, and now I'm just going to... Maybe can't see, but that was obviously Amazing Fantasy, obviously Spider-Man, and obviously the Thor. They're the 3 biggies, aren't they, for that? But obviously all the others are just great. But you can see you've got here September, you've got August, your August. So it's over a mix of obviously 2 months. Might even be other months. No, I think it's all. Even in October sneaks in there. You've got some Octobers there down there. Rawhide and Patsy and Hetty. But you've got the Hulk there as well. But predominantly, I would say it's more a romance book than probably horror. There's probably a few horror ones, of course. Strange Tales and Tales of Suspense. They were still horror, or sort of horror, anyway, terror, whatever you want to call it at that time. There's a few westerns, of course. Rawhide, Gunsmoke, and Kid Colt. So there's obviously 3 of those. But you can see, obviously, Patsy Walker, etc. But it's just great, nice selection. And, of course, they're the main ones, aren't they? They're the main ones why people would get this book. Even though, of course, they've been reprinted before. But the good thing about this is that they reprint them with the other things that came with it, the other stories, because quite often they end up being reprinted and you just get the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, but you never get the other stories. Or same with Tales to Astonish. You just get the Ant-Man story or something, and then you just don't get the other stories. So it's nice that we actually get the complete, all the stories. Now, this one is slightly cheaper. It's $125. Actually, weirdly, was more expensive in the UK than the first one, which is $150. I can't make this. The logic of all the pricing makes no sense anymore. I've given up on trying to understand omnibus prices. Because sometimes I go and I buy an omnibus and it's like £50. And you look at the price and you think, well, that doesn't match and yet some others are like £90. And you think, why? I'm certain there is a logic, but however, let's just take this off. Probably ripping it in price. However, the one trouble is, one of the reasons I probably won't do that too often, take it off, because it's white, and of course, unless I've washed my hands really super well, you end up smudging very easily. Especially if you've eaten like peanuts or something, you suddenly see all the... But of course, you've got the classic cover there, good old Spidey there. And weirdly, why didn't they put Thor on the back? Now, I would have put Thor on the back personally. I mean, I think, but of course, Thor gets put obviously in the front. But that's still, I love obviously Linda Carter. You've got some of the characters get quite a, and you've got him again. It's there. Oh, strange. Anyway, so you've got the same sort of design inside as well. And let's just go through the book itself. It's got some nice essays. I would love to see a lot more essays. I really would. I mean, there must be. I would love to see him put the fans' opinions as well, because obviously the fans would have had, people that wrote letters at the time, also on interest. They must have lots of memories of this time of buying Amazing Fantasy off the newsstand and things. You'd think that they would put those stories in. It gives it. I mean, I've got lots of books where it's like the recollections of various people of the time, and I just love those sort of things because you just read it and it captures a sort of spirit that can't be always, from the actual people that are involved in it. It's nice to actually get the people. Wow. Saw Spider-Man on the newsstand. I rushed home and all that sort of stuff. I just think that sort of thing is just great. Anyway, you've got the Standard Art Colour Restaurant. They always do a great job. I mean, you really wouldn't expect anything other than total excellence from Michael Keller. And never can say it, Kellustration. I just think they do a brilliant job. And obviously the collection editor there as well. Just always great job. And this definitely is. I mean, it's just brilliant. You've got all the inkers. The only thing that always gets me, they never put who coloured the things. And I think it was Stan Goldberg. I think I read something, said somewhere, Stan Goldberg. Obviously did some penciling as well. But often whenever I read these, I think, who did the colouring? Because sometimes colouring is quite important. Though obviously because it's not really the same colouring, is it, anymore? So we've got a different... Be nice to be able to compare something. That's another thing they could put in. I would love to see them put a couple of, maybe for the Thor one and Spidey, put the original coloured, a real good quality comic in there. So you could go backwards and forwards and just compare it. Anyway, you can see there's a lot of stories in this as well. You've got all the love romance, and you got and they had quite a lot of stories. I love that. I mean, Millie the model, you got issue 110, September 1962, and you've got 10, 12 stories. You've got a lot. You've got your money's worth in terms of stories. I mean, some of them were, but there was a bit of a. And I love the introductions. The introduction is good, but I would love to a lot more. Some real more sort of give you, and also maybe a period sort of little summary of what was happening at the time, because it puts it in context. So you got obviously Journey into Mystery, you've got Thor there, but why? I mean, it would be a nice little historical background to sort of maybe what Stan was reading. Obviously, the references that would have obviously must have got information from Bullfinch's, all the mythologies books and those sort of things. It would have been fascinating to see sort of things, the source material, that whenever you see Shakespeare, they always do a sort of source material. I don't know, maybe I'm just pushing it too much, but that would be nice as well. Just a historical, chronological reasons, what was happening at the time, why these were, So it's in context. However, of course, most people have seen these stories. I mean, I think it's brilliant, of course. I love the stone creatures, of course, brilliant. And of course, you've got all the lovely these as well. I always wonder how many people actually read that one. This is Discovery. And quite often, I mean, the writing is actually reasonably sharp. I mean, because obviously it's been scanned so it's a bit of a, I don't know, to me it looks fine. But sometimes when you see the news, the mail pages, they often slightly look more chunky and clunky than obviously the nicely cleaned up thing. I suppose it's harder to do. But I think it's just lovely. Brilliant. The Thor one, that's just a classic. And of course, like I say, it includes the stories that are that were included as well. And of course, I think this one's Don Heck. Definitely is Don Heck. Yes, Don Heck. I'd been surprised if it hadn't been Don Heck. The Perfect Crime. And I would love to see an omnibus edition for Don Heck. I mean, why not? He must have put loads of those in. But have many of them been put away into these books? Maybe some of them tales of the Marvel Masterworks and things, perhaps. But it would be nice. And then, of course, you've got the classic Spidey one, the next thing. And I just think it's great, of course. This story, I always wonder if anyone's ever done a sort of, and I expect there is, the grand, whatever it is, comic database or something, maybe GCD. It's probably got the list. I wonder which comic has had the most reprints. This one, the Spidey one, must be up there. Must be up there, because it's been so many times in so many books, so many collections that have got this issue of Spidey from Amazing Fantasy. I doubt if they could have imagined at the time that it would have been reprinted so many times. And I wonder in 100 years' time if it'll be changed and reprinted still in the same way, or will it be changed even more? And, who knows? And of course, Tales. And I love this, the return of Ant-Man. I love at the end where you got obviously the Ant-Man there, because he was, of course, previous story. It wasn't like there was going to be a continuation. I wonder if they knew at the time. But it's still, I think it's lovely. And I always love the perspective there, the return. It must have been an intro. I love also, I love the ants going down the table there. That's pretty good. I never really noticed the ants. You always see Ant-Man there, and you've got the guy with the gun looking down. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I always think that sometimes when they had those pictures, if that gun, the way the angle of that gun, would that have been effective? I'm not certain what angle that was pointing. And shooting a tiny little speck on the ground, likely you would have missed, wouldn't you? I would have thought. No, I don't know. I have no idea. But still, they quite often the perspective. When I'm looking at the perspective, I'm looking at it going, what's he aiming at? Because it seems to be slightly odd. But I love the ants as well, the use of that. However, of course, again, Ant-Man's been printed. Actually, there was the artist edition recently, that the Kirby one, which was superb, and they've included this story as well, and I love that. I thoroughly enjoyed the Ant-Man. I hope they bring out an Ant-Man omnibus. I don't know why they haven't. / Giant Man one. That would be nice. And yet another reprint, of course. But of course you've got a Ditko there, and you've got another Don Heck, The Thing from Outer Space. And they're good little stories, of their time. That is a decent story. But then you've got Kathy, the Teenage Tornado. Great title, 12 cents. And issue 18 that this was. And they did great story. Even though, I must admit, they do all have a tendency to start looking the same. And the stories generally have the same sort of feel from all of them. So you've got, Linda Carter, you've got Millie the model, Patsy, etc. There is a resemblance. Some of the characters, I mean, that could easily be Millie. Probably is Millie, I don't know, but it looks like Millie. And likewise, that looks like Buzzing from the other one. So there's a resemblance all the way through them. You've got Kathy again. They had lots of stories. And again, I love that little heart. Look at that little heart just put there. That's nice. Life with Millie as well. They're just great. And I also love these fashion pin-ups. And also another, I didn't notice that. Another one of these great little stories. Unfortunately, doesn't say who it's written by. Maybe they just don't know. Anyway, whoever it's written by, it's just those things. And also I love these ones with the cutouts and things. And I wonder how many comics had those. I know in quite often you see things where they're cut out. Those sort of, I guess people did. Must have put them on things and put them, ruining completely wonderful comics. But still, great stories. And you've got this one, Patsy's Pyjama Party Pretties. Very odd. And now, obviously, all the stories of the Ant-Man, Thor are all in the earlier part. But you've got, of course, Kid Colt, Outlaw, the Circus Crime. And there's also quite a few stories where this one is, I think there's the Hypnotist one. Certainly, there's quite a few stories with the Hypnotist. And also, this one's the Circus. The Circus of Crime, which of course is very similar to the Hulk one, which had the, obviously, Ringmaster and the Circus Crime. Plus, there was a Hypnotist one in one of the other Western stories. Obviously, a theme running through that month in the stories. When super menaces unite. I always love these ones as well, when you got this, and I must admit, it always fascinated me, was this number. And that would have been another good thing in this book. If anyone put a list of the V835, all the number in the actual, as it went through. And I don't think in the front they actually put any information about that. But it would be nice. It's a little touch there. However, some of them, you actually struggle to see that number, which is odd. That's the thing that's strange, because just looking here, I can't see it. Why is that missing off that one? Why didn't they put a code on that? I would have thought that's the way they would kept, obviously, the reference. This is Linda Carter, student nurse. You've got the Millie model and you've got family portrait. Again, I wonder how many people cut those out of the comics. It's possible, I guess. And also you've got I love this one. You've got Gene Colan, never said a word. There's some great little stories. And of course you've got the Hulk there. And you behold the Hulk. And they were good yarns. Again, the Ringmaster one. You've got, now who did this one? Jack Keller. Oh, so you've got Jack Keller, the Nevada Jailbirds. Great little stories. And that's it. This book is just full of some great little stories. And they are really good. And I love this approach, doing it a whole month. Now, this is obviously some of the bonus material. Bonus material is absolutely superb because you've got the brilliant, absolutely lovely, obviously, inked page of Amazing Fantasy, which is great. Of course, you've got the inked page of Return of the Ant-Man. It's complete as well. Original art. It's got all of it. And it's really, really brilliant. You can also see all the lovely pencil work as well, which I think is just superb. And then you've got some more articles at the back. These ones are good. Love Romances 101. Love Romances 101. Original art as well. Just glorious. And and that's it. So you've got some more essays in the back. What an absolutely lovely book. I just love these books. They are brilliant. And if you collect, I've been reading online, lots of people seem to say, oh, I don't know, whatever. I think they're great. Just a lovely collection. If you want to feel the sort of the whole period, sort of get that sort of feel of the time, they're just great, I think, for that. I just wonder about the next one. I'm thinking maybe the one that's Spider-Man #1. I think that would be December 62, January. I don't know what they call it. No idea what they call it. But that's an obvious one. Spider-Man #1, because it was Tales of Suspense, number 39 as well. That was a good month. And of course, the next obvious one, maybe put in the comments what you think. Maybe you got some ideas for it. Obviously, the Avengers #1 and X-Men #1, whenever that was. That was some halfway through the month, through the year. So, I think that's... After that, it's very tricky to see of any more. I can't see that it would do one for Daredevil. Daredevil 1, Or Doctor Strange 115 or 110. Not certain they would do one for that, would they? That would be odd. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see a few more of these. But I think that they're doing them for the key issues. It's going to be sort of like very limited run now. And then obviously once you get into 1965, 66, 67, 68, it's very hard to see what they would do at that point if they would continue this sort of series. Can't see it. But I would love to see a few more of these. These would be great. Especially the Spidey one would be nice, and the Avengers one. So I love it. June 1962 is really worth getting. I just think it's just a brilliant collection of stories. Like I said, there's a whole range, 520 odd pages, really superb quality, and also stories you probably will never get in an omnibus edition separately, because I can't see them bringing out a love romance one. Maybe Millie, Linda's, I don't think so. Student Nurse, they could combine it with the Night Nurse one. It was Night Nurse. Linda Carter, same name, of course. But maybe Kid Colt Outlaw. Some of the Westerns, maybe they could do a Western omnibus. And maybe some of the, of course, Don Heck, maybe. But I can't see it. Be very surprising. Kathy, I can't imagine that anyone's going to bring out a Kathy omnibus. That would be quite a surprise. There must be a few issues of Kathy that that would sell at all. I don't know. But I think this is totally recommended. Brilliant, brilliant book. Along with, of course, the June 1961 as well. So great collection. Like I say, I'll probably do a book review, obviously, if they bring out another one with all the 3 of them, or 4 of them, or 5, however many they bring out. One of the depressing things always when I get omnibus editions is quite often they put at the back the creators, and you got there Dick Ayers, obviously died 2014, Gene Colan 2011, Steve Ditko 2018, Goldberg 2014, Al Hartley 2003, Heck 1995, Jack Keller 2003, Jack Kirby 1994. Wow, was it that? And Stan Lee 2018. And however, at the end, and this is quite rare when I go through my omnibus ones, quite often you see Larry Lieber. I know what, I didn't realise he was still alive. So why haven't they brought out a lovely volume about Larry Lieber? That would be brilliant. Maybe with sort of some articles and things, maybe a autobiography or something like that. It'd be fascinating to hear his side of the story in that book. I don't know. But it's just that when I sort of go now, I just suddenly think, all dead. And then suddenly, apparently, still alive now, 90 years, I think it was said 90 years old. I think, wow. So Larry Lieber, that's great. Actually, finally, to get an omnibus edition like this, that it's not just a list of, you think. I know people love to see the binding and the spine, etc. So it looks fine. I mean, absolutely looks absolutely great. How it opens, well, you can see there, it opens really, really nice all the way through. And you can see that it doesn't sort of collapse on itself when you open it. And it is fairly light, the book. So, however, while I was doing this quick book review, I did notice there was some damage. It was slightly upsetting, but at the same time, I'm not going to worry too much. It's just one of those things, when you order various things, occasionally they come through with a bit of damage. So there was a bit of damage at that end. But that's one of those things.